It's time for the Tornado Outbreak review for the Wii. This is a game I've always wanted to try when it came out, but I just never got around to renting it, and I thought the $30 price tag was a bit too high. But now that I've bought it for only $8 used and played it, was it worth the wait? Let's find out. The story in this game is about a wind warrior named Zephyr, who travels to Earth with his leader and army of warriors looking for and trying to capture fireflyers, which are basically fire elementals. Zephyr can become a tornado, but at the beginning of each stage, you're a small dust devil and must move around each level trying to destroy everything that you can to become bigger and more destructive. The thing is though, since you are only so big, you have to find objects in each level that can actually be destroyed by your small self. At the top left of the screen is a gauge, and each time you destroy something, it will be filled up so much. When you fill it up all the way, you will gain a level, which will make you larger and more destructive, but only by a little bit each time. As you roam each level, you will see which objects are destroyable by your current tornado state when you move closer to them, since they will start to move and be sucked into the vortex. Objects that can't be swallowed won't budge until you are at the correct minimal level at which they can be destroyed. Each level is kind of like a maze. At the beginning, you will be put into an area where little destroyable objects are close by, but you will have to search through each level trying to find more destroyable objects at your current tornado level. This puts strategy into the game, but there's even more than that. The main goal of each level is to find and capture fireflyers, which usually reside underneath objects like buildings or cars, and put them into the Lodestar, which is a device that creates cloud cover for Zephyr and other warriors. You can tell fireflyers are underneath objects because fire will be billowing up from underneath them. When you destroy an object that has fireflyers underneath it, the fireflyers will be caught in your swirl for a few seconds, and then they will be transferred to the Lodestar. To give the game more strategy though, if you hold down the B button before you destroy an object with the fireflyer underneath it, you will gain a short burst of speed when you do destroy it. The goal is to try to find a chain of fireflyers and capture and hold them as long as you can before sending them to the Lodestar. The whole point of this is because you have a time limit in each level. Each time you transfer a fireflyer, you'll gain a tiny bit of bonus time. If you transfer a lot of fireflyers at once, you'll gain a lot of bonus time. However, you can only hold the fireflyer for about 3 seconds before it's automatically transferred. Also, you will move a lot slower while you're holding down the B button to hold the fireflyers, so that's why you want to find a chain of fireflyers to get those short bursts of speed. Each level is a small cloud-covered area surrounded by a sunlit perimeter. You can't touch the sunlight, or else you'll lose the fireflyers you're currently holding to the Lodestar, and you'll lose a small amount of valuable time. At the end of each level, you'll be given a score based on how many fireflyers you captured, and basically how well you did. The graphics remind me of Looney Tunes for some reason, but that's not a bad thing. Although I wish the game was more realistic looking, it's still good, and destroying things is fun to do, as well as fun to watch. The controls are great. You'll use the Wiimote nunchuck combo, using the control stick to move, and like I said before, press and hold the B button to hold fireflyers. You'll also get to jump in the later levels by pressing the A button. I guess the only issue I had was moving to the left and right when your tornado became huge. I'm pretty sure the developers were going for a realistic sense, which is fine, but sometimes moving left and right felt a bit too stiff and/or slow. Other than that, the controls were great. The camera is probably the biggest issue in the game. You have some control over it, and what control you do have is just moving the viewing angle to the left and right. However, you would sometimes not be able to hardly move it at all, and to make it even more annoying, the camera likes to give you a view right behind the tornado a lot, which is not the best angle. I would have really liked it if you could have moved it to a 45-degree top-down view, so you could actually see where you were going if you moved directly forward. But no, you can't do this, which can make the game frustrating to play. Now bear in mind that it didn't do this all the time, but enough to really annoy you. In each stage, a friend can pick up another Wiimote nunchuck combo and start playing co-op with you. The thing is though, it can decrease the fun, since the screen will be split vertically, and you won't have much of a viewing window on the right and left sides of your portion of the screen. The split screen will only be in effect if both players are at least at a minimal distance from each other. If they get close enough, the screen will revert back to single player mode. If you're going to play co-op, it's probably best if you stick together, as you will destroy things faster and you won't have a small viewing window. It's also annoying when the screen switches from single to split and vice versa, because the screen will flash and the game will pause very quickly and briefly, which can be extremely annoying. As you progress through the game, the levels become more and more challenging. This is a good thing, but can also be a very frustrating thing as well. Since the levels are designed for you to seek out paths of destructible items in the quickest, most efficient way, you might spend quite a lot of time on some levels trying to find the best path. It took me a lot of tries on some levels to find the best paths, which in the end just decreased the fun factor for me. I would be off by like 3 seconds, and my time limit would be up, and I would have to start the level all over again. It seems like there's barely any room for mistakes, or the time limit is just too low, or both. Now you will eventually beat the levels, but it can be quite frustrating as you go through. Each level has 3 stages and then a boss fight at the end. First you'll have to pass through gateways in a huge circle at high speeds to create a giant storm, and then you'll have to maneuver your way through cloud cover to totems which you'll have to destroy. Once you're at a totem, you'll rapidly shake the Wiimote to damage the totems and eventually destroy them. Every boss fight is essentially the same, but with more totems in each progressing level. It would have been nice to have more variety, but they're still fun to beat. Tornado Outbreak is a pretty fun and quite addicting game. Good graphics, great controls, destroying everything is very fun and addicting, there's quite a bit of strategy instead of just mindlessly destroying objects, pretty fun boss battles, and co-op mode is a nice feature. However, I found the game to be quite frustrating in the later levels, as finding the most efficient path could be a painful task due to a pretty short time limit and very little room for mistakes, there was little freedom with the camera, and co-op mode, even though it can be fun, can also actually make the game less enjoyable and more frustrating as you had a pretty narrow viewing window unless you stayed together, which wasn't always the easiest thing to do. It's still a fun game though, and I think people would enjoy it. I'm not sure it's for everyone, as it can be pretty difficult, but if you want to harness the wind to destroy things, then I think you'll have fun with Tornado Outbreak. This game gets a 3.5 out of 5 with the title of good.